How you guys doing? Eugene Johnson, founder of Make Your Mind an Asset. In today's episode, we are going to talk about the power of yet. I remember when I was 18 years old and I had just gotten to my first business and I really wanted to have success. I had this goal. I said, I want to be a millionaire. And I had this huge goal in front of me. But the problem was I was working and working and working, and 6 months later I wasn't a millionaire. A year later I wasn't a millionaire. 5 years later I wasn't a millionaire. And it's easy to get discouraged, but I never got discouraged. I never looked at the situation as far as where I was in the moment. I always said, I'm just not there yet. I didn't have the skills, I didn't have the know-how, I didn't have the understanding, I didn't have the experience yet. But I was getting there. I was in the process, and I always understood that there was a process to this success thing. And the issue with a lot of people is they don't understand the word yet. All they think about is now. And we live in this microwave society where everybody wants everything now. They go to the drive-thru, it's not fast enough. Their iPhone that was loading in 2 seconds is now loading in 5, too slow. We live in this society that says, hey, everything needs to be fast. We need to move, we need to move. And what people don't really understand is that the world doesn't work that way. Sometimes we see how fast technology is going and we forget that the rest of the world does not operate like that. When you plant a tree, it doesn't grow into a mighty oak tree in just one day. It takes time. When it comes to growing yourself, when it comes to getting better, when it comes to getting to the next level, everything takes a process. And I've always realized that even though I wasn't where I wanted to be in the moment, I always had a not yet mentality. I knew I was going to have success. Maybe I wasn't there now, but it was a not yet. And there's a power in having that word yet. There's a power in being able to embrace the fact that though I'm not there right now, I can get there. All I need to do is put in the extra time, put in the extra effort to grow my skills, to become better. But that process takes some time. There's a story I used to tell about a little girl who was walking on the beach with her father. And one day she was walking on the beach with her father and her father was on a cell phone. And so while her father was on a cell phone, she was playing on the beach and she saw way out off the shore, there was some baby sea turtles. And they were just now being born and they were struggling to get back to the water. So now this little girl had to be 7 or 8 and she's looking and saying, wow, these baby sea turtles look like they're struggling. Let me help them out. So she grabs the sea turtles and brings them back over to the water and says, go swim, little sea turtles, swim. And so the sea turtles go. And the next day she comes back on the beach with her father and her father's on the phone again and she looks down on the beach and notices something. The baby sea turtles are on the side of the shore and they're dead. And she just started crying hysterically and her dad was like, what's going on? What's going on, baby girl? And she said, Dad, the sea turtles that I put in the water yesterday, they're now on the shore dead. And he said, whoa, wait, what did you do? She said, yeah, the baby sea turtles were way over on the shore. And so I helped them out and took them to the water. And the dad said, look, you don't understand, baby girl. The reason why the mother sea turtle lays the eggs that far offshore is because she wants the baby sea turtle to struggle its way back to the water. And that struggle is actually building strength in the baby sea turtle's limbs that allows the baby sea turtle to have the strength necessary to swim in the water. And so the struggle, the process is necessary. So even if you're not there now, the process of getting there, the yet, is so powerful because if you say, look, I'm not at that water yet, but I know this struggle is building me up to become the person I need to be in order to realize the potential that I know is within inside of me. And what happens is most people confuse not now with never. And they think, because I'm not where I want to be now, I'm never going to get there. And they lose what I like to call the belief factor. See, when you have yet, that means you've got a belief factor inside of you that though I'm not right there right now, I know that I will get there, so I can say yet. But when most people are going after their goals and they see where their situation is now, their current situation, their current circumstance, they use that to say, can I get to where I want to go? based off of my current situations and circumstances. So for me, I never looked at my current situations and circumstances to dictate where I can be in the future. I always said, look, where I am today is just where I am. It's just a holding pattern. It's just temporary. I remember when I was broke, I used to say, look, my money is just in circulation, right? These things are temporary. But when you have the mentality that this is permanent and you'll always be here, then you'll always be there. Whatever you focus on grows. So if you focus on the fact that you're in a situation you don't want to be, and you don't have the mindset of belief that says, not yet, then you'll be stuck in the situation that you're in, never moving forward and never breaking through. Though I might be in my current situation does not dictate my future outcome. And when you have that type of posture, when you walk into a room saying, look, I know what I'm going to be. I know who I'm going to become. I'm not worried about the things around me. I'm not worried about these small situations that are around me. They're just little problems. One of my mentors used to say all of the time, you can tell the size of a person by the size of the problems that get them down. Small problems equals small person. Big problems equal big person. If you say, hey, look, I want to have the success of a millionaire, then get ready to have millionaire problems. If you want to have the success of a burger boy, then have the burger boy problems. How fast do you flip the burgers? That's the only problem you need to solve. But you get paid in relation to the problems that you're able to solve. So if you pack bags for a living, like in the grocery store packing bags, the only problem you need to figure out is, do I put the cans at the bottom and the bread on the top? But if you own the grocery store, there are a lot more problems that you need to figure out than the cans on the bottom and the bread on the top. You see, most people are praying for the very situation that they're in today. They said, God, help me enlarge my territory. Help me become more financially successful. And then God says, okay, you need to be able to learn how to deal with these situations. And you get hit with the problems and the problems knock you out instead of lifting you up. You should look at problems. I used to say myself all of the time, I love problems. Each solution propels me to a higher level of achievement because I understand what the value of problems are. The value of problems allows me to stretch to get better. It allows me to learn. It allows me to grow. But I'm always focused on what I need to do today to get to the next level. Who do I need to become today? Because I'm not where I want to be now, but it's a not yet moment. I'm not there yet, but I will be. I have the belief and the faith in myself that I will be. Here's what I want to say. It's okay to be on the journey. It's okay to be going through the process. A lot of people, because of the Instagram mentality that we live in, everybody has to feel like they've arrived. You don't have to be. It's okay to be on the process to get to where you want to go. So there are 4 tools I want to talk about on how to harness the power of yet. The first tool is focus on the present. See, so many times people have these large goals, right? And they look at these large goals, and I'm sure you've been there because I've been there, where I've had this large goal, and I looked at this large goal and I said, man, this thing is so big, I don't know the first thing to do to get there. How many of you have ever been there? I know I have, right? Where I said, man, what do I need to do to get there? And so, because it's so big and so daunting and so scary, sometimes you don't even take the first step because you're living so far in the future. But instead, what I always say, figure out where you want to be 5 years from now, dial it back 1 year, dial it back to the next 6 months, dial it back to the 90 days, dial it back to 1 month. Then you figure out what you need to do this week, and then you need to figure out what you need to do today. It's super simple, but so many people are trying to attack their goal by trying to attack the 1 year goal today. That's not what you do. You break it up into chunks, achievable milestones. That's what it's all about. So that's the first thing, is focus on the present, not the future. The second thing is focus on the solution, not the problem. Look, here's the thing. When you're on this journey and you're telling yourself, I'm not there, but I'm not there yet, and you're going through the process, problems will arise. You cannot get around problems. So as you're going through the process, just remind yourself. See, a lot of people get surprised when problems show up. Why get surprised? You should understand you're never going to get to success without problems. So be willing to go through the problems and expect them ahead of time. But you've got to say inside of yourself that this problem is here to stretch me. This problem is here to grow me to become the person that I need to be. And you need to accept that and be willing to take that on and run with it. How do I get to a place where the problem doesn't affect me? Because at some point in time, The problems, as you become bigger, those problems become smaller and smaller. Now, the problem still might be a big problem, but you become a bigger person and the problems become smaller, not because the problems have shrunk, but because you have grown. The third step is while you're in the process, in that transition time, focus on development. You've got to take the time to get development. But here's the thing, it's no point in changing the way you think if you don't shift the way you act. So you've got to act the way you think, but first you have to shift your thinking. So in that transition period, shift your thinking, but you haven't really shifted your thinking unless you start to act in alignment with the new philosophies that you've gained. If you don't act in alignment with the new philosophies that you've gained, then what's the purpose of getting the philosophies? So you've got to take the time in development, but as you're developing, you've got to actually put that thought process into action, or it's useless. What's the point of reading the book? Why go to the seminars? Why watch the videos if you're not going to let it affect your decision making when the problems happen? See, when it's all times are all good, yeah, it's great to quote great quotes and talk about the great books you're reading and all of that stuff when things are going great, but that's not why you do personal development. That's not why you develop yourself. You don't develop yourself for the good times. You prepare yourself for the storm. So when the storm happens, you don't sit in the storm with a pillow over your head saying, hope the storm moves away. You strap yourself in and you start moving and walk your way out of that storm. That's what personal development is about. It's about having the mentality to not just think different, but act on your thinking and your new belief. And the fourth and final thing to harvest the power of yet is the focus on you. So many times people say, I'm not where I want to be, and I'm so sad, and I need to be better, and all these other things, because they keep comparing themselves to everybody else. And they're looking at this person, they're looking at that person, especially with social media and Facebook and all of these things out there. You know, you watch somebody and they say, man, that person just had a baby, I want to have a baby. Or this person just got married, I want to go and get married. This person just went on vacation, I need to get on vacation. This person just got a big check, I need to get a big check. And you start comparing yourself to everybody, and as you do that, guess how you start to feel? Sinking and sinking and sinking and sinking. And so what you need to do is focus on you. Put the blinders on. Forget about everybody else, because you're on your journey and nobody can be on your journey better than you. And even with those four things, people make this one mistake all of the time. They quit too soon. They quit too soon. And you've got to be willing to go through the dust and the clouds and the fog, because that's what it is. Success is about this huge fog, and you're just walking through, and you're walking through in faith, because no one knows what's going to be on the other side. But if you have faith that you know your success is on the other side, you're willing to walk through this fog and try to figure out and navigate your way through. And as you're navigating your way through, there's going to be arrows being shot at you and flames and fire. There's going to be intense heat and intense cold and all of these different things happening as you go through the fog, and you can't see your way through. So what happens is some people, they hit the heat, they hit the fog, they hit the arrows, and then they decide that maybe this is too much to take. I can't see the finish line. And so because I can't see the finish line, I just want to quit. I want to give up. And so many people quit so soon. Most people quit an inch before their success breakthrough. Most people quit right before it was all about to happen for them. And so you can't do that. You've got to hold on. Success is merely holding on when others have let go. And I'll tell one more story before I close this up. There was this mountain climber, and he was climbing up Mount Everest, and it was getting dark, and a storm was starting to come, and it ended up knocking him off the mountain. Now, luckily, he was strapped in and harnessed in, but he fell and tumbled down the mountain, and then he got stuck, and the harness locked in. And as he's hanging from this mountain, it's pitch black, he can't see anything, and it's freezing cold. And he's saying, God, I don't want to die like this. And he says, God, what am I gonna do? And God says, cut the rope. Now he's holding on to this rope thinking, God, are you crazy? You want me to cut the rope? Cut the rope. I'm gonna fall to my death. And God says, cut the rope. And so he's holding on to this rope. He says, I can't cut it. And the next day, some passersby walked past this guy who was frozen, hanging from the side of the mountain, and they realized he was just 5 feet from the ground. Most of you are just 5 feet away from your goals, 5 feet away from your dreams, 5 feet away from financial breakthrough, 5 feet away from changing your family tree, 5 feet away from living the lifestyle that you've always wanted, 5 feet away from changing your family relationships, 5 feet away. Most of you are 5 feet away. If he would have cut the rope, he would have landed on the ground. But sometimes if you can't see it, sometimes you can't believe it. But you've got to learn to be like the successful, and they act in spite of it. So my question to you is, are you 5 feet away from your goals? I urge you to hold on, because you're right there. You've got to have the mindset that I might not be there now, but it's just a not yet. And if you have that power and mentality of not yet, it'll force you to have faith. And it will force you to focus on where you're going and not where you are. So here's what I want you to do. In the comment section below, I want you to write down one huge, big goal that you have that you haven't achieved yet. I want you to write that goal down. And then I want you to write a timeline on when you want to hit that goal, whether it's a year from now, 6 months from now, 5 years from now. Write down a timeline that's acceptable for the goal. Now, if it's a small goal, don't have a 10-year timeline, right? So you got to assess that. But write down that timeline, and then I want you to write down, who do you need to become to deserve that goal? Because we all need to become something. If we want our success to get to another level, then we have to get to another level. So I want you to write that down. Hopefully this has been a blessing to you. I'm excited to hear your success stories. Write in the comment section below. And until next time, remember, let no man steal your vision, because no man gave you that vision. God bless. Because once you have the plan, once you have the goal, there's one thing that's needed. And in all of recorded history, this one thing is undefeated when pointed in the right direction.